Hello and welcome back. Your eyes are not deceiving you. This is indeed a new video. Hello, welcome back. FM26 is a thing that actually exists. We won't talk about FM25 or anything like that. Or, frankly, we won't really talk about FM24. Honestly, I had major issues with that, and I barely ever played it in the end. So, whilst it's been a 2 year gap for most, it's almost really been a 4 year gap for me because FM23 wasn't that much more enjoyable either. I think the last time I played Football Manager religiously was FM22. Still, here's hoping FM26 is returned to form. Anyone who's followed my beta saves over the years knows that my usual approach to a beta save is taking a team that maybe ought to be doing better in the Premier League and has had a particularly rough start by the time Football Manager comes out. In this case, the three teams in that particular question would be Wolves, West Ham, and Nottingham Forest. Wolves and West Ham are literally the last two Premier League teams I've covered on this channel, and Forest still have a good squad and are in European football to begin with, which I tend to avoid, because the whole point is to get to that stage. Brentford, meanwhile, at least at the point of choosing Brentford, were on 7 points, just in or around, I think just above the drop zone at that point in time. I selected them before they beat West Ham, naturally, and of course they then won that game, and now they're sort of in 13th, which is probably where they ought to be. Even if they've now sort of got to a point where they probably ought to be in the table, Brentford appealed to me because they are a team in a massive transition period. They've lost their best players, they lost their manager. Much easier narratively for a fake manager such as myself to step in and take over than taking over established managers in the Premier League. So this is where we sit. We have started this off with real transfers. So I'm bringing you in just before deadline day because I wanted to get a little bit of practice under my belt with this new UI and all that jazz. This isn't going to be tutorials, although I will provide tips as and when I find them. But the idea of this isn't to be tutorial. This is just good old fashioned road to glory. So if you've been craving some of that, look no further. Now, fixtures so far. Yeah, not great. I'm not going to lie. The preseason, fine. Absolutely fine. Slightly awkward. I started it in late preseason, so they simulated the first game without me. Slightly awkward that Wissa played and scored in that game before I took over. But Wissa's still in the squad because it's not actually the 1st of September yet, but he's not playing. I haven't played him. I have kept things true to form. I was going to come in after deadline day once everyone had already joined and everyone had left and gone to their correct clubs at that point in time, but I also realised the Carabao Cup game had slipped in there. So we will do Sunderland before deadline day and the international break, slightly awkwardly, and then Chelsea as well after that. But I will start with one good top tip first off, and that's bookmarks, responsibilities. And then you have to go to delegation, and the main ones usually is on match day. You scroll all the way to almost the bottom, effectively, and most people don't really bother with them, so delegate them if you don't like them, and also make sure, of course, that you are the one arranging them by unticking that. It's slightly awkward that one's kind of the other way around, but that's in there. The other one I've had to manually go in and do, which you always have to do, but it's easy to forget, is under scouting, and that's take over scouts, because otherwise they will just spam recruitment focuses that you don't really care about. I almost feel like tactics ought to be its own tab, but it's under match day. This is where I've settled because of injuries, actually, more than anything. But watching the original footage that Football Manager put out with Spencer and Jared Bowen, where they took over West Ham, their first game was against Brentford. They did the real life fixture for that weekend. The Brentford in-game AI-wise played a 5-back, which, with a bit of research, wasn't wholly accurate. Because whilst they did play a 5-back against Chelsea and Manchester City, in possession it was a 5-3-2, which I've sort of modelled like this really more than anything, just to make sure that the players are doing the right thing. So average-wise, it sort of ends up being a 5-3-2, looking a bit like that. But also with a bit of research, I've realised really the majority of the games they play a 4-back. And combined, this one looks a bit awkward because they're on top of each other. In possession, 4-2-3-1. Out of possession, 4-3-3. It is a bit boring, but that seems to be what they look like. That's how they played against Manchester United and won. That's how they played against West Ham and won. So it would be wrong not to really replicate that. And honestly, team shape's a weird one because actually you kind of see the team shape better under team instructions, particularly when you sort of cycle through the phases. So build-up wise, it's a little bit more what you'd expect to see. But right now, even if we weren't playing a four-back, we would have to play a four-back because the original formation I tried to play was with a rotating DM centre-back, depending on in possession, out of possession, which is obviously what Ayer's good at, and he got injured straight away. So tried to play Jordan Henderson in that role. Results haven't been fantastic. Not because of Jordan Henderson. I don't think that they were actually the problem. But also, by the way, I do like the fact it now explains the full injury and when it happened and all that jazz, so you can track it better. But yeah, he was injured in training on the 5th of August, so it's not a great start. And then Sepp Vandenberg was literally injured last game when playing right back against Cambridge. So I no longer have any spare centre-backs, which is mildly awkward. That'll be a focus in January, centre-backs. The other problem is up front because Utara's come in, he can play striker, he's not regarded super well as a striker, can do channel forward competently. And with the real transfers set up, this is also a slightly weird one and something that might not be immediately obvious. It says transfer activity, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm guessing this is only active negotiations. It says active transfers, but it means active negotiations. Turn active off, you can actually see the people who are coming in and out already. I don't really understand why that's a thing, or why it doesn't make it obvious what this means. Active only, that's great. Okay, only showing me the active ones, but then turn it off, it says all offers. It's not obvious that that's going to be the case. We're obviously going out, Nelson coming in on loan. And we are not paying his wages, apparently. Sorry, it was just showing me that we were going to have to pay 400k per month. I was checking I was still on weekly wages. It's been that long. I say that's been that long. I tried to do an FM24 video. I did try to do a Last Hurrah 24 video, but I got so annoyed by it, and there was a fundamental flaw in the database that it just annoyed me too much, and I couldn't get what I wanted to get done in time because it was going to take effectively twice as long as I originally anticipated to get that done. The short answer was basically I was doing something in the league where I needed a custom database and the custom database didn't do league reward money. So every club was in debt all the time. So naturally the league didn't progress how I wanted it to. So that was annoying. But yeah, honestly, I got more annoyed at the constant I'm not playing enough moaning, which plagued FM24 and FM23, frankly. But when people ask what you want from FM26, what I want is FM24 without any of that nonsense. If we get that, I'm happy. Obviously, the match day stuff is great. But FM24 had the problem of players when they signed wanting a higher squad status than they probably should need, and you have to just sort of let them do that because otherwise you can't sign them for the most part. Then they don't get that playing time because the game doesn't give them the correct playing time, despite the fact they're playing that playing time. Like, if you play 80% of the games, even off the bench, you are a squad player. You're not a fringe player. You're a squad player. So it always underestimates the playing time they actually do get. And then, naturally, the third stage is, when they kick off, the player interactions were rubbish and you could never resolve anything. I'm guessing, in terms of Reece Nelson, by the way, I'm guessing we're paying if he just doesn't play, because that's usually how that's arranged. But anyway, we are on the match. And we will be playing the fullback because there's no other choice, really, more than anything. Kelleher, Coyote, Collins, Pinnock, Henry, Jensen, Damsgaard, Janelt, Utara, Schade, and Thiago is the lineup. As I say, suggestions really, centre-back and striker are the main ones. Because I would like to be able to play the three-back version a little bit better. Ideally, someone who can play centre-back DM as well would be great. Also, by the way, the first 3 games of the season, it constantly told me I had 6 players outside the match squad, when it literally only said S1 to 9. Turns out you have to go to the match squad page, and there were effectively 6 people who didn't say substitute anything, but were still being regarded as substitutes. And you have to right-click them to get rid of them from that. I'll show you afterwards if I remember, but at the very least now it's only just telling me people are sharp, but that's fine. Oh, I didn't see if we were home or away against Sunderland. That's one thing that doesn't really tell you anything here. It just says Sunderland, so... Also, these tunnel interviews. I just realised maybe you have to do it on the first question. Can't delegate. Maybe you have to do it on the first one. It looks like we might be away because they're showing the Sunderland one first. Already doesn't have a face. I'll put the face back in after this video. Why are both teams in their away kit? It's just dawned on me. Or an away kit, at least. Why is Sunderland at least not playing in their home kit? I will say, already, so far better than any of the other Premier League games we played. We did smash Cambridge. I'm so sorry, Chaz. But yeah, we did smash Cambridge. I mean, it was 4-0, then they got 2 back late on, which is worrying, really, that they've got complacent like that. But so far, so unthrilling. I mean, it has only been 14 minutes despite the chaotic 2D map that I've seen so far. It feels like it ought to be half-time already. 25 minutes gone. Highlight at last. Here we go. We'll minimise this down a bit as well because it's weird. It looks wrong minimised because there's not enough there, and it looks too much when it's unminimised because there's too much there. I need somewhere like I need something that's like halfway in between. Goes all the way back to Pinnock. That's a ball, but Henry, Utara at the back post. That's what I want to see from the team. That's what we didn't really do in the first 2 Premier League games, is just work a chance like that, really. Seeing it from a different angle now. Touchline view by looks of it, sideline view. He's onside, he's well onside. That's Utara at the back post. And that's actually a lovely goal. I quite enjoy that, just from an animation standpoint. Pinnock's booked. West Ham are beating Forest away. Game week 1, Wolves beat Wolves beat Man City, and West Ham beat whoever they played in game week 1, but away from home. So already the teams that are doing awfully in real life won their respective games in the first week. Wolves are beating Everton now as well. So the other teams under consideration, awkwardly, are actually winning in game. Utara. I say awkwardly. Maybe that actually justifies me not doing them if they're actually playing better in the game. Shardy back post into the middle. Thiago is 2-0. Lovely. I actually kind of appreciate that goal because I feel like on previous FMs, Shardy here would have just tried to smash it. But instead, first time pass back into the box, into the 6-yard box, and Thiago's there to tap home instead. I kind of appreciate that more. Although they are playing passes in goal, I now realise, rather than roofs. So maybe they've underestimated roofs in the game because he's been fantastic in real life. I say that as a Newcastle fan. Roof's been one of the best goalkeepers in the league. There's still some jank, I'm not going to lie. Isidore gets one back. He's classed as offside. We don't yet know what the routine is for disallowed goal. Allowed goal. Last year you could work it out because if they ran off with their arms up, it was still always a goal. Well, he's not offside there. He is now. Yep, that's fair. Well, this is already a much better viewing than the first couple of games. We are on top of this game, which is the key thing, which we weren't in either of the 2 draws so far. Wolves and West Ham are first and second. You know what? I think I've made the right choice not doing either of those. Yeah, we've had a lot of shots. I'm happy with that. Also, you now get the kickoff highlight, no matter what level of highlights you set this to, which is going to get some getting used to. I say kickoff highlight. It lasts about 3 seconds. You don't actually get the full highlight. It's just you see the kickoff, and that's really about it. Sharders having an absolutely banging game, 8.1. In the first 2 games, all 3 attackers were woeful, really, in terms of ratings. Like the first game, Thiago was on a 6.0 somehow. That's without missing a penalty or anything like that. Free kick. I'm playing with sounds on just because I really want to get feedback on that, but because I feel like the reason why we didn't play with sounds is because they were rubbish. I feel like they've improved the sounds this year, particularly the crowd sound. I do think the ball touch is a little bit too loud. Nathan Collins has got a bizarre haircut as well in the game. It does look like he's got basically a ginger mohawk. Working. I mean, great dribbling animations. I kind of watched that a little bit spellbound because I feel like I don't think we've ever seen dribbling animations that good in FM. Like he was actually taking his man on. What are we on? 57 minutes. I think that's something that's going to need to get adjusting to, really, is just the pace of the games. Because even though it's on 30 times speed in the between highlight stuff, it does seem to still take longer than it used to. Like, I feel like it's probably ought to be like the 80th minute by now. That wasn't the end of that highlight. Oh, it was the end of the highlight. It just dragged on for some weird reason. Like, this makes it feel like it's going so much faster than it actually is. I don't mind this, but I think that's the thing is, when you've got it on 30 times just to get through the game, you're not really getting the information from it that it's there for. Because the whole point of that is to sort of see how your team is doing in between highlights. Because that's Hume that scored, he said he might have been fractionally offside. He was on the line. I'm pretty certain he's going to be offside. Oh, no, he wasn't somehow. No, I think the defender was just a split second too late getting back. We don't get to see that with a line, which is... What is the point of showing us the offside highlight if you don't show us the lines? Anyway. Damsgaard's on a 6.19. That went unnoticed by me up to this point. We'll move Jensen forward and then we'll take Damsgaard out for Jordan. Jenolf's not doing that much better actually either. Onyenko can come in. And I'd probably just argue tiredness levels would be the biggest factor in any other substitutions, but we'll do 2 just now. Jensen's a weird one because he can do basically all the midfield positions. I don't really know what is his best. Corner though, Jordan over it. I don't know why everyone has this hairstyle. It looks stupid. It's like they don't know how to do a fade. And they've just decided to just not do hair where the fade is. Oh, that was the highlight. Okay, what? We're going to have to bring Hickey on at right back, which isn't preferable, but Pinnock's knackered, but we don't have any other centre-backs is the problem. Charlotte's had a good game, but he's now tired, so we kind of have to do Carvalho, although Lewis Potter's back. He was injured at the start of the season. We'll make those 2 subs. Lewis Potter's on now. That's Tybee, Henderson, Lewis Potter on the ball. Does find the ball to Thiago. That was a good touch. Utara it rolls to. Onyenko, I was thinking maybe go further right here, Utara, but Lewis Potter's in on this side. Crosses it back. Jensen's there to scoop it in. Nobody was offside. No one's even questioning it. That's great. Lovely. Fantastic. Scintillating stuff by Brentford, says the text. I mean, that's slightly overdoing it. I really thought the ball would go out wide there, but instead it comes across to Lewis Potter, who does chest it down quite nicely. That might be a better animation. Comes off Patterson. Slightly FIFA-esque, actually, in that sense, or EFC-esque. Straight to the attacker. Don't let FC fix the rebound situation. Then just put it straight in FM. I think what we'll do is we will swap Jensen with. I don't know why he doesn't put Malambo in there as a choice. Oh, because he's only 2 stars. What? Oh, because he's only 2 stars as a PCM. Right. Okay. We'll bring Malambo on. Interestingly, it does actually give them a rating immediately when they come on now. Opposed to after like 15 minutes is what you used to need. I'm sure all the research will go in. I presume you still probably need something like 15 minutes to actually get them the development. But yeah, Wolves and West Ham are first and second. Thiago sneaks up to a 7 even though he scored. I feel like there might be something wrong with striker ratings, but Lewis Potter, Utara doing well. Henry and Collins. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good win. It's the first Premier League win of the season, which may be off the back of a morale-boosting victory over Cambridge midweek. Yeah, might as well praise Sharday's performance. Well done. In terms of press conferences, they're exactly the same as they used to be, just occasionally they swap where negative and positive is, so you actually have to pay attention. I don't think there's any game-related reason for them doing that. I think that's just so that you actually pay attention and don't click through it. I'll also say, as we click through here, the fact that under 21s and under 18s games appear on here is a bit awkward, particularly in the friendly section. Also, we've now started to assign staff people, and I like this, by the way, the key findings, which is new. The post-match report, effectively. There's the actual match report here, but there's also a data hub, like key findings that comes through after every game. I quite like this. 77 entries into the final third into 18 shots on goal. None of the 6 shots outside the penalty area. Might be a thing, by the way, which is why I turned on work ball into box. But yeah, in the friendly section, the prefix here, obviously, where it says D2 and D2S, that's fine. It's obviously an unders game. You can still see it on the calendar here. Look, D2, D2S. When it says that, it's obviously it's the unders, but in the friendlies, it just said friendly for all of them. I thought we were doing like 80 friendlies when it was only 4. So Manchester City seem to be useless, and I don't know why. They lost to Wolves, and now they've lost to Brighton. Chance for dead and day, obviously. Here we go. Nelson in, Wisser out. There we go. That's the last one sorted. Squad registration. I hope I can actually register, because it did click straight through that, really, more than anything. Nelson in. Cody Hakpo is the best attacking player. He did score 4 goals in the first game, which probably helped. Meanwhile, Bournemouth are the worst attacking team, which seems wrong. Why did I sell Johan Wisser? It's prearranged there. Stuart Pearce in as a coach. Oh, look, Callum Wilson got injured. I can say many things about the game, but some things aren't unrealistic. Leeds beat Newcastle. What is going on? Man City on 3 points. Newcastle on none. Bournemouth on none. Meanwhile, Wolves and West Ham, some things are realistic, some things aren't. I know Newcastle didn't really have a great start either, but Utara isn't team of the week. That's odd. When Chardo was the best player. Like, I think Nelson and or Utara were brought in to be a Wisser replacement. But in the game, neither of them play striker full green. Nelson is 100% a winger. He was arguably more of an Umbermo replacement in that sense. Maybe. But so it's a little bit weird. I do obviously have the Women's League logo, so I'm intrigued to see what they do. But Rico Henry to what? What's the price? 27 million. He's 28, so not that old. It's worth 27 million, so that's maybe why they just put that down. I mean, if they give me a stupid amount of money, then sure, join Ivan Toney over there. I know he's not at that particular club, but I will say so far, the one thing that is throwing me off the most is the fact that Spacebar no longer locks onto your messages. So I have continued without looking at any messages about half a dozen times so far already. I mean, if they are, they're going to have to make a big bid, aren't they? I would say we're not in the business of letting good players go. Reluctant to see Henry leave, saying that we're not in the business of letting good players go, having sold Mbeumo and Brissa in the transfer window. Sure. I mean, that wasn't my doing, I suppose. I'd very much like a backup striker. So if I put those two opportunities in, we'll see what happens over the course of the next couple of months. But yeah, I have no idea where I find out what our squad capabilities in terms of searching, because it's obviously still a thing, because it's still in the staff members. Because, for instance, someone having complete Portugal knowledge, like where is the scouting knowledge overall page? Because it's clearly a thing that still exists in the game. He's better tactical than he is that, so we'll sign him as a... We'll sign him just because I don't know if we have Portugal. I guess we do because we've got a affiliate there, but I think I need another one. But anyway, that's enough of that. Actually, that's the point. A proper right-back backup might not be the bad shout either, because Coyote getting into there could be a problem. Okay, so the games just do kind of sneak up on you a little bit. Okay, so Pinnock is tired, which was the concern from the press conference. But do we have any of our centre-backs back is the problem. 75 minutes of Vandenberg, 45 for Ayer. Also, Nelson now exists, which means we can swap Ola Kigby off the bench at least. Yeah, I think we need to accept that. See, to be fair, with Coyote injured as well, actually. I need Vandenberg there, don't I? Yeah, Ayer's good for 45, apparently, and Pinnock's probably good for the other 45. I really got to pay attention to this sometimes, because it does just randomly put, even though I put Ayer and Vandenberg in those positions and out of position, for some reason on in possession, it put them the other way around. You do have to pay attention, which is, I mean, I suppose you should do anyway, but it is marginally irritating. I would play the five back against Chelsea like they did in real life, except we just don't have the centre backs available to us because we're going to have to play them in different positions and kind of half and half. So if I had them fully available, I would try and do the five back like they did in real life against Chelsea, but we don't, so I can't. Yanel 5-5. Why is his sharpness going down? He played the game. Okay, this actually kickoff highlight has continued beyond the kickoff, so I'm concerned already. Oh, I love that the one person who is famous for having bleach blonde hair doesn't have it in the game. I mean, this is patient from Chelsea. It's almost mocking. Much like Neto's just made a mockery of... Oh no, Henry sorted that out, although he's lost it again. What is going on with this highlight? Just get to the point. You could have cut the kickoff after 3 seconds and then come back to this highlight about here. A minute later. Just checking I haven't changed my highlight. No, I haven't. It's all fine. It is going to be a chance for Chelsea, because of course it is, but the game literally gave us 1 minute, 45 minutes worth of highlight just because it was vaguely connected to the kickoff. Instead of just doing the 30 seconds before the actual highlight. We're only a couple of minutes later here, and we've got a highlight that which might be promising for us this time. Vandenberg stepping around. Does find Schade in the middle. Was it offside? It's been given originally. VAR will challenge. It is confirmed with the help of VAR. I love how it always starts on the freeze frame here. So Vandenberg puts it in. It's hard to tell if Schade is actually onside there, but he has to be, otherwise they wouldn't have given it. But yeah, the fact they don't put the lines in is a bit dumb. City did beat Man United earlier on in the day. Newcastle 2-0 up over Wolves already. Palace beating Sunderland. Villa, oh hello. Palmer over a free kick. Odegaard scored for Arsenal. Palmer's going to be taking this because Enzo's miles away. As was the free kick itself. Thanks for that. Robert Sanchez, the goalkeeper, has been injured somehow. But it won't say what his injury is. Oh, did Odegaard score twice in the same minute? Curious. One thing I've noticed, by the way, so far is that yellow cards don't appear on the formation. They appear down here when you expand it, but they don't appear anywhere else. And for a game that had a lot of highlights early on, it has dried up quite dramatically. He says, as a highlight appears. Canto playing left back. Garnacho. João Pedro. Finds Pedro Neto. Who takes on his man and absolutely does him. The shot not great. I can see what the attempt was, but Crystal Palace 3-0 at Sunderland. Over Sunderland, I should say. Another highlight sneaks in before... I say sneaks in. We've got a couple of minutes till half-time. Garnacho. I'm not liking the build play here because this is presumably angling towards a Chelsea chance. That's Palmer. He doesn't miss these. Yeah. As soon as he took that... As soon as he received that back, that was obviously a goal. And then as soon as he took the touch around the goalkeeper, it was 100%. But... yeah, Kelleher maybe... Is that Kelleher's fault or is that the defensive line's fault? Utara not having a good game, apparently. Though nothing on here will explain why. If I say we haven't had enough possession, then that might work. Oh, faith does still exist in the halftime team talk, at least. Doesn't appear on the pre-match one. From Leeds 1-1 past our Scrap. Right. Second kickoff does not... We didn't even sub off Sanchez. Oh, I did probably need to take Ayer off, didn't I? Utara was actually knackered as well on a 6.2. I don't know if he's taken like a minor injury or something. He's gone up to a 6.4. No explanation. Why Bournemouth useless in game? They're losing to Brighton now at home. Vandenberg does get that ball. Collins, Janelt. Collins' mohawk is never not going to be funny. That's a ridiculous ball to Thiago. I mean, it's a great goal. The flag's gone up. It's gone in the goal. But they've prematurely put that flag up. In real life, that wouldn't have gone up until they've actually put it in the net. It would have been given as a... It would have been allowed to be a goal and then flagged for VAR. That's a little bit naughty from Football Manager there. Really took the jeopardy out of that being a goal or not. I feel like we have actually got back in this half a little bit. But Utara is absolutely shattered for some reason. And there's no way to see what... It's really the only way you can see a player's... Oh, I'm clicking this button here and I have no idea what it does. I presumed it would be showing me their page, but I'm going to put Nelson over Utara and then I can look at Nelson's page. Because the only way to do it is here. Right foot. Is that saying right foot, both feet? No, it can't be saying right foot, both foot because there's no way the centre-backs have both feet. That's just saying he has a 6-star right foot, basically, I think. Which is the most pointless piece of information because if it's their strong foot, it usually is 6 maximum. It usually is maximum. I don't think anybody has not good either foot. I mean, Janelt, again, has been disappointing here. Swapping with Jensen and then bring Henderson on in that role. And Ayer wasn't good for the whole match, so... We could bring Pinnock on, or we could bring... I think we'll do Pinnock, just because Vandenberg wasn't good for all of it either. What are we on, 66 minutes? Vandenberg's had a good game, but... So we'll give Vandenberg a little bit longer, because he was good for 75, so we'll at least give him the 75. Just in case we need to take off left back instead, which we do. Like, we overdid Ayer's game time by about 15 minutes there, 20 minutes. In theory. I mean, truthfully, I don't think I've really had much issue with that in previous FMs, but it's a new game. You never know what's going to be the problem. Reece James over a corner as Aston Villa retake the lead at Everton. That gets headed outwards. Backwards. James. Oh. That was depressingly easy. This is where you'd encourage in previous games. It's like, come on, get their morale up. With the only shout that ever was reliable. I say that, I think praise when you're 2 goals up was always reliable as well, wasn't it? But encourage and praise. Okay, and yeah, Kelleher in that one has not covered himself in glory. Yeah, Vandenberg, Hickey. Lewis Potter could play left back, apparently. Probably not well, but he can. Oh no, he does have 13 tackling. Why is that showing him as red? I don't understand that. It's showing him as red even though he can do the position. Arsenal 5-0. Odegaard might have a hat-trick there, depending on whether he actually did score the first 2 goals or not. Lewis Potter coming forward. Damsgaard will find Jensen. Jensen will find Hickey. He's left-footed, so he is playing on the wrong side, really. Jensen, 2-2, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the real-life result. So there are now 5 minutes, as I think someone else has got injured here. Reece Nelson has literally just signed and got injured. Some things never change. But yeah, good goal. 5 minutes to find a winner and change history, effectively. Can't take Nelson off, because he might be able to do it manually, but they've not taken Sanchez off, so... Hickey over the corner. I don't think we've scored one yet, so we're yet to find an overpowered corner tactic. And that one's cleared as well. Collins will give it to Sade. Sade will find... It was Jensen. 4 minutes of injury time. To be fair, looking at the XG, 2-2 seems about right. A lot of shots in that game, not a lot on target. This feels a little bit more realistic, I'm not going to lie, actually, in terms of shots and shots on target. Previous FMs, you used to be in a situation where goalkeepers were making sort of 13, 14 saves fairly regularly. Admittedly, that's usually when you're a dominant team, so we'll see what happens when we are a dominant team. But so far, feels a little bit more realistic. They weren't unlucky. It wasn't a bad performance. It wasn't a great performance. Can I have one that's in between these two, please? I'm not going to say I'm happy, but I'm not. It's fine. It's 2-2. I'll take it. Yeah, why can't you send the assistant for these anymore? Nelson makes Brentford debut. Brentford on the draw. Nelson injured. 1 to 3 days. Okay, it's fine. It's just a bruised ankle. The fact that Reece Nelson is 25 is pain. It's a minor thing, by the way. I like the fact these are in time order now on either side, rather than just being... I like the fact this tells the story better now. Match day, league table, just to show you where we are. Gone to the Carabao Cup. Of course it has, because that's the competition that we play next. And for some reason, it doesn't just automatically assume that I want the Premier League. Wow, that's a faff. Can I bookmark that, please? But there we are. There's the league table as it stands. Wolves and West Ham no longer first. I mean, Wolves are still unbeaten. Right, okay. Newcastle, Forest, Bournemouth, Sunderland yet to win. 2 of those are weird in general. One of them is accurate, actually, kind of, for Forest. And one of them is unsurprising for the game, considering where Sunderland are predicted, I think. So the fact that Leeds have won 3 and Sunderland won none, though, is a bit odd. Wolves winning, West Ham winning as much as they have so far is... Oh, in fact, West Ham haven't played their game. It's against Spurs, I guess. But nonetheless, 1 win, 3 draws. Technically, we're unbeaten. I say technically, that's how it works. But 6 points from 4 games. No losses. I've just noticed this color coding. I don't know if I prefer that to just putting the letters there. That seems like an unnecessary extra step when you could just put UCL like you used to, because there's so much space. There is so much space for you to just put the letters UCL, UEL, UECL like you used to. Anyway, season preview. Now that all the signings have gone through, I am surprised Sunderland are 1,000 to 1. They were 1,000 to 1 to start the season before any transfers went in. I was expecting them to maybe move up a bit with the transfers, but no. Brentford effectively, if you consider Palace, Forest, Brighton to be European challengers, when Brentford aren't often European challengers, best of the rest. One thing I'll say on season preview, by the way, it has shifted backwards to 9 to 1, but they did start 13 to 2 Newcastle to start this season. I am baffled by Newcastle's... As a Newcastle fan, I am baffled by this. They should be... I don't mind them being ahead of Chelsea and Man United, because I kind of understand it. I understand Chelsea's current ratings maybe not being great because there's a bunch of young players, and Man United's because it's Man United now. They've finally got Man United accurate. But Newcastle being closer to Arsenal than they are to Chelsea in odds is weird. Especially as they've not won a game in here, and Howe's probably going to get sacked like he was every single season in FM24. Every single first season. So unless they turn that around and make it accurate in terms of results as well. But it's Hull in the Carabao Cup next. I will bring this back in December. I will do what we did with the Wolves sleeve, which is 4 per year, effectively. So Leeds and Wolves seems like the sensible thing. Is actually the last 2 beta saves. Match day, much better. UI, get some used to. Some things, I'm still not certain if they exist or not. But I think realistically, everything that you want is still there. And hopefully, the annoyances aren't there from previous games. Because if they're not there to drag it down, I'm happy. Really. If we have FN24 with a better matchday experience and a few other little maybe boosts in some other places, but without the bad things, I'm all right with that. And of course, international management does come back in, and hopefully that does get improved. But it's one of those things that we didn't play because it was bad. If it's good again, then we might play it. Not till like February, because I think that's when it comes in, but we might play it. But for now, thank you for joining me. I am doing Newcastle United Women on Twitch, depending on when this gets released. Might have already started. Might be live as this is coming out. Who knows? But it'll typically be on the afternoons, weekday afternoons, maybe even Saturday, Sunday afternoons, over this first weekend of the game coming out. This might come out on Monday, depending on how quickly I can get it edited. So you may have missed a few streams, you may not have. Either way, follow me on Twitter/X. You'll get the announcements on there. Links are always in the description below. But welcome back. Football Manager's back. It's exciting. It's uncharted territory, sort of, maybe a little bit. Either way, it's going to be fun, innit? Until next time, ta-ra.